All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Saturday, and as you know, I always celebrate Saturdays because Saturdays is Small Business Saturday. Every Saturday across America is Small Business Saturday. And so this just gives us an opportunity to support local business, small business, women owned business, everything in business. And so I am your host, Latoya Amos. I do every Monday morning on Facebook. I host something called Coffee and Conversations, Business and Beyond. So this is where we get to have our financial segment on my Power Management page, where we talk about finance, investments, and we talk about trending news in business as well. I'm excited to have my guest today, Emily Taylor, that is here. She is a financial advisor as well, and she's going to be talking to us today about how to utilize annuities, something that's not often talked about. So we're going to jump right in and get this thing started. So Emily, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, you already said it, but my name is Emily Taylor and everything, and I'm a life insurance agent here at Baton Rouge. I work remotely all over the state, but I'm located locally here in Baton Rouge. I work with a lot of annuities. I work with a lot of life insurance, but annuities tend to be some of my biggest business sometimes,
Hmm.
and that's generally what I tend to focus on for a lot of people because I find that a lot of people don't really know the value of annuities, or they maybe have like some misconceptions about them that they may have been told by another financial advisor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want you to go ahead and let's just dive right into it. So I know from me and you talking, you have talked about a unique way that you use annuities, and which I have seen this with a lot of families. There's a lot of families out there that have special need family members. And as we know, being the caregiver can is a hard job. It's 24 hours, and a lot of times people will not put their family members into certain places or institutions because their fear of not getting the best care. Um, and a lot of times, people are just scared about passing away because it's like, who's going to take care of them if I'm not here? So I know that you do some things with them to make sure that there are financial means left behind. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course, of course. What I do is I basically am somebody who helps set up and set. I set up annuities for families and everything, which may want to leave behind money to their children. I
Hmm.
have a number of contacts with like special needs lawyers who can set up special need trusts and everything, so that their kids don't lose SSI. The biggest advantage of a lot of families having to set up an annuity for their child as compared to just their child receiving SSI after they die is they can get better care. And also, they can circumvent sometimes the savings amount that the state of Louisiana has imposed on a lot of them. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if any viewers here have ever heard of the ABLE account. It's basically an account in Louisiana that you can put money into that has a lot of different tax benefits and everything to the families, but it's only $18,000 per year. And that's
Hmm.
for some people with kids that have extremely intensive
Right.
needs that may need really expensive care. That's just not
That's
enough
not.
for them to
Mm-mm.
sustain their child. So having an annuity is something that a lot of these families often pick because putting it into a special needs fund means that they don't, I mean, a special needs trust means that they don't have to do any of the direct managing. Like, it's different than an IRA in that you don't have to do any direct managing of the funds and everything. And they're also guaranteed the principal of the money they invest into it, which like I said, for most of these families, it's not the concern of growth for the money. It's the concern of whether the money will be there in 10, 15, 20 years. Whenever they pass away or whenever they may be unable to take care of their child, they want to make sure that annuity is there and is able to provide monthly payments to the child, so that way they can get the best care and everything that they need.
Oh, that's nice. So how hard is it to set up something like this into one of those accounts? What does that look like?
Well, setting up the annuity itself is easy. All you really need to do is you need to either roll over some kind of pension plan or 401k plan, or you need to roll over some kind of cash.
Hmm.
As for the special needs trust and everything, I'm not a lawyer, so legally I have to say I don't know much about that process because I don't want to get into any kind of trouble. But I do know that the process is generally very streamlined, and finding a good special needs lawyer, one who deals with a lot of disability rights and a lot of like SSI
Hmm.
compliance laws and whatnot, it's been very streamlined from all the stuff that I've heard from families. It's not very hard to set up these special needs trust funds so long as you find a good lawyer that will help you do it.
Okay. And you said it's called a special needs trust fund. Okay.
And these funds are, and for anybody who's unaware of what these funds may do, these funds exist so that your child is allowed to legally inherit SSI from the government
Hmm.
because everybody knows after a certain point, if you make too much money, your child no longer gets SSI or disability and whatnot.
Right.
But having these funds in place allows these children to take SSI from the government while also being able to receive other money for more expensive treatments that they may need. Like if they may need a caretaker, or if they may need to be in a special facility that helps them like go to the bathroom or like do daily activities and stuff like that. Like these things can be awfully terribly expensive, and the state's just
Hmm.
not going to pay these people enough money for some of the children who have much more severe disabilities.
That's correct. Okay. Now, do you have to, because I know you said like if you have a pension or 401k, things like that, do you have to have that type of money to set up something like this?
No, you can set up an annuity with pretty much any kind of cash. It just kind of, the only thing that a pension will affect the tax status of the annuity, because it will depend on whether or not the annuity is being funded with after tax dollars or
Okay.
before tax dollars or
Okay.
pre-tax dollars.
Okay. Okay. But if someone wanted to start one like today on their own, just using the income, just say whatever income they have coming in, and they want to do monthly payments or whatever until
Mhm.
the annuity matures, they can do that as well.
Yeah, you can set we there are two main types of annuities. There are what we call flexible premium deferred annuities, and then there are what we call single premium annuities. Single premium annuities are the ones that are usually done with the 401k or pension rollovers, because you're depositing a large sum into the annuity just right away. It's not
Hmm.
much hassle. There's nothing really that goes on except us
Right.
calling whoever is like in charge of your pension or 401k and stuff like that. But
Okay.
a flexible premium deferred annuity is pretty much like what you said. You make monthly payments into it,
Hmm.
and it basically grows as you get older and whatnot. So like people with those new kind of annuities, people usually put like 200, 300, 400. I've seen some of my coworkers have talked about people putting about like $1,000 a month into these
Hmm.
annuities. The big downside with them is that after a specific amount of time, I believe it's dependent by company. After a specific amount of time, you can no longer deposit large sums of money into the annuity. So like at some point, you can't just deposit $100,000 into these flexible
Right.
premium annuities. You have to make just like a single premium
Now,
annuity for that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure because then the IRS are looking like, okay, you guys are trying to get over on us, you know.
Mhm, mhm,
They
and
want they want to tax whatever dollars that they can. So they're like, oh, they're using this like a high yield savings account. Yeah.
well, and it's also not a really good idea to mix
Yeah.
your pre-tax and your
Hmm.
after-tax dollars together. That is really gonna get the IRS knocking at your door.
Yes, yes. So tell us a little bit more about how these can also be used in retirement. So you have like hundreds of thousands of Americans out here. Everybody's starting businesses and doing things. And it's not to say that maybe everybody's starting these with money from their 401k and things, but people are looking for a means to a way out. You know, they're trying to pull themselves up because the job market is down or, you know, people not getting paid, but also people don't think about retirement until it's close to retirement age. You know, we always thinking we have more time. So for those that may start late with planning for retirement, how can we utilize this product to add that additional zero to our portfolio?
I think annuities can be a really good addition to any retirement portfolio simply because they are one of the lowest in risk investment vehicles that you have.
Hmm.
Like with an IRA and everything, you have the risk of losing all the money that you put into it. Like you have a risk of like maybe losing 10-20% if the stock market tanks and everything. And it gets especially riskier if you're investing into something like mutual funds or hedge funds. Like those
Yeah.
things can be extremely risky, even though they can give you pretty good rewards or returns. Um, with annuities, that's not exact. With annuities, that's just not the case. With an annuity, you're guaranteed all of the money that you put into the portfolio. So even if the annuity doesn't grow in 10 years, because let's just say the economy sucks for like the next 10 years, you won't,
Hmm.
you will, at least you wouldn't have lost any money.
Hmm.
That's the biggest difference between something like an IRA or Roth, hedge funds, or mutual funds. Annuities generally tend to form a small portion of people's portfolios, usually money that they can't risk to lose, because
Right.
everybody has different tolerance of risks when it comes to planning for their retirement and everything.
Hmm.
But it's generally good to have something in the
That's
game
safe.
that you're just not gonna
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I just did a video yesterday on talking about the global, well, the collapse of the China market, so I don't know if people are paying attention, but I'm trying to get everybody to get their eyes on what's going on because, as we know, China is like the hub for everything that, global importing, exporting. And the downfall with them have been definitely real estate and bad stock investments, and which could be definitely a trickle effect to the American economy. So, like I told them, I am a fixed product person all day long. I just, for me, I just feel safe. Now I am a risk taker, but when it comes to my money, I want to know that I'm going to have a return on my investment. And these are great ways to know that no matter what happens, you're locked into a set interest rate. So the only thing that can happen is you can gain, but you won't lose your money. And I think right now everybody wants to hold on to what they have. They want to see it grow, and we cannot afford to lose anything. Yeah.
Yep, you really got that right. I also think that's really important in an age where it seems like every big tech company is doing something risky, which is like
Hmm.
everybody heard of the Windows crash a couple of days ago,
Hmm.
and I only found this out from a friend of mine who works sort of kind of with those people and everything. The only reason the stock market didn't crash is because they caught the crash like about like 2 hours before the market opened.
Before.
So they basically booted their systems over to an older versions of Windows that wasn't having that issue. And
Wow.
it's like, yeah, you can imagine if like the New York stock market completely stopped operating for a day, then like a lot of people's money would have just gone completely down, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
lost everything. And it's like a lot of people's IRAs would have tanked, a lot of mutual funds would have tanked, especially. And it's like, I'm not going to talk about AI or anything because I know a lot of people. I'm not going to talk too much about AI because I know a lot of people have a lot of very strong opinions on that.
Hmm.
But from what it's been projected, those returns on any kind of technology utilizing that are just not as much as people are were hoping in the beginning, and it's also
Hmm.
causing a lot of unnecessary issues that is messing with a lot of people's money. Like these
Hmm.
tech companies are promising a lot and they're not delivering
And
on
they're not delivering. Yeah, that seems to be the name of the game lately.
it. Yeah.
Seems to be the name of the game lately. Yeah, a lot of, and I think it's because if I can gas you up, sort of say, to get you in on this, who's making the profit off of it. And then it's like, well, once we get the money, then we'll bring in what we need to add on. It's just like they want to get that pool of money and they'll worry about it on the back end. So yeah.
And you just can't do that anymore, like not
No.
with Google and all these like 200 million, maybe even billion
Billion.
budgets and
Hmm.
everything. It's like you just can't do that. There's too many people on the line. There's too much money in the pot that's just being thrown away. And it's like it doesn't exactly help that these companies are being given free reign to basically just sort of throw people's money into the fire. But it is what it is, and you have to basically work around a lot of these companies just making really terrible decisions, like
Yeah.
Google firing a lot of its staff and everything. That actually tanked its stock price a lot more significantly than people thought because they don't have all their talented professionals there
That's what I was gonna
anymore.
say. Where's all the strong professionals? You know, I mean, yeah, this is definitely not the time. But you look, like you said, you look at these big name companies and you're thinking, like, what is going on? But again, our job market, this is, that's why I keep telling people, I just believe in having something that you can control, and once it's set because nothing is promised anymore. We're just living in completely different times. The workforce is not what it used to be. It was a big thing to go on a job and be full time and be able to take advantage of the benefits and stuff. But now you're just kind of like, is it really worth it? And people are looking for their own options. So, because you don't never know which way life is going to go.
Yeah, you really don't. And it doesn't exactly help that there's like a second wave of COVID going around and everybody's
Right.
getting sick. So it's like
Yes.
working from home definitely has its benefits because I don't have to be exposed to all that.
Right. That's true. That is true. And it is. It is. This is why we're having these conversations around, insurance and things like this. Because especially with my people that are solopreneurs, small business owners, I'm just like, hey, if you don't have health care, because a lot of them don't have, they're not buying into um, healthcare coverage. So it's like, okay, let's look at some supplemental benefits, because at least with that's something that's going to pay you. You still may have to pay a deductible or whatever when you go in, but ask them to put you on the sliding scale and then turn in all that documentation to the insurance company. They're going to give you a check for everything that was done, any kind, if they did testing, x-rays, blood draws, if you had to go to the ER, you're going to get a check, that comes to you. And then, hey, you can decide what you want to do with. Do you want to pay that bill or let them put you on a payment plan? But guess what? I can still cover all my expenses at home that I incurred while I was off. So this is why having these things in place. Annuities, it's great to, even if you start with one and it's something you bought into that's small, it's gonna grow. But guess what? When something comes up, you have an instrument that you can turn on that's gonna give you income. Because I tell you, after that first wave with COVID, now I'm just looking like, okay, what else do I need to do? Because we don't know what else is coming. And I tell you what, the federal government is not going to do what they did before. Those checks that we got, which other countries got more money than we did, they got like double. But I'm just saying, they're not going to do that again. They're not going to give out the PPP loans. If they do that, it's a lot of red tape. It's a lot of red tape because people abused it. So you got to start putting things in place that belong to you. And you can call Emily and be like, hey, I got that annuity. Like, what can we do? So what are the interest rates looking like right now on those?
Interest rates on annuities, honestly, they can be pretty flexible because with National Life, which is the company that I work and write annuities for, annuities can have all different kinds of returns. Sometimes, like it depends on the indices that you invest in. Some,
Okay.
like I would say, about the general rate of return on an annuity can be somewhere between 7 to maybe 12%,
Okay. Oh, that's
which is
good.
like with yeah, which is pretty comparable to a Roth IRA and everything, but
Yes.
it, like I said, it can generally depend on what kind of indices you're investing in. Because some people, if they want to be a little bit more aggressive with their annuity investing, they can invest into what we call rate boosters, which
Hmm.
basically give you a higher participation rate of the annuity, and they basically give you more back into the account. But
Okay.
the company will take a small fee off of your annuity, usually about maybe 1%, 1% sort of cut off the top. So it's kind of like you're exchanging more growth for having just like a small portion of it taken away. Which
Oh,
for some people that might be viable because if you have a really strong year where in it like there have been some years where annuities have grown by 30%. So if you have a year like that and you have something like a rate booster, you could probably see the returns even higher than that,
mm-hmm.
which would make that 1% very insignificant because it's not
Mm.
1% off of no, yeah, because it is 1% off the annuity, but the 1% is calculated pretty generously from what I've seen.
I got you. Okay. So before we leave, we got just about another 10 minutes in this segment. And I want to say first, Emily, thank you so much for coming on and giving us information like this. I want to continue having these conversations with you. So this will not be our last one. If anyone else out there is in business or have something unique that they want to talk about, this is the platform. Please reach out to me so you can also be a guest and be spotlighted so we can know about what you have going on in your industry and to share your knowledge and your information. So just want to say that. Um, but as we wrap up in our last 10 minutes here, can you just kind of give us maybe some scenarios of like cases that you have worked with? Because sometimes that kind of brings it on home to people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I can think of one case that I have worked in annuity with where this was basically a couple who already had a special trust fund, who already had a special needs trust set up for their son and everything, and they were trying to decide what kind of investment vehicles to put in there. They were pretty sold on it when I told them that an annuity wouldn't lose them any money, and they also wouldn't have to manage it. Because I know with Fidelity and with an IRA and everything, you have to have some kind of manager usually who's watching over it, picking funds for you and everything. With an annuity, that's just not how it works. And they also didn't want to lose their son any money because he was in a group home and he needed pretty intense round the clock care and everything because like his care was about maybe it could range from $2,000 to $5,000 a month, and like
Hmm.
the state was obviously not going to pay for a lot of that, and while they were pretty well off and everything, they knew that once they died their son had to be taken care of somehow. So they
Right.
basically rolled over well, they didn't roll over an annuity with they didn't roll over a 401k. They basically put a bunch of cash into an annuity where they basically where that was basically it. Once they put it into the trust fund and everything, the annuity will start paying out as soon as they die. And once that happens, their son will pretty much have consistent payments for the rest of his life from
Hmm.
that annuity, where he'll be taken care of, and he won't have to worry about like where he's going to go and everything, and the parents are not going to have to worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and
So.
they have a peace of mind, like you said, knowing that he's not gonna get a lump sum of money and then just go through it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I know a lot of parents, that's something that they worry about, even when they're setting up life insurance policies. They always, want to know, well, if something happens to me and they're underage, especially under 18, it has to go into a trust, but they don't want them getting that money so young. And I think that really age has nothing to do with it because you can have a very mature 23-year-old or 24-year-old, but you can also have an immature year old 40. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really all in the individual,
Mhm.
but knowing that when you set it up like that, that hey, this is what they're gonna get and this is how it's gonna work, you feel a lot more confident about what you're doing. And like, okay, if nothing else, they'll have a roof over their head and all the utilities will be paid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also a benefit if the child is not legally capable of making their own
Yes.
decisions. Because
Yes.
I won't say anything about the state, I won't say anything about the condition of their son just to respect their privacy and everything, but
Hmm.
he did not have any legal capacity. Like, he
To
would not
make
have been,
those educated
yeah.
decisions. Yes.
So yeah, so the payments and everything, so the payment structure of an annuity can benefit parents who may be worried about like, hey, what's going to happen to like if like my child is not going to be able to know how to spend all this money whenever he like whenever we die and everything. But with annuity, you can just say, well, hey, here's like $5,000, $10,000 that's going to go to X. This is going to go to his group home. This is going
Hmm.
to go to like whoever it's going to be go to and everything. That's just how the annuity is going to be structured.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people may have forgotten, but I'll just say this for the state of Louisiana. Um, this has been some administrations ago with our governor, and you may remember this, Emily, but they shut down all of that. We had a state school here in Bossier area, and during one of the administrations, all of that went away. Those individuals had to either go somewhere else or really go home, and a lot of those people were living in those institutions because their family couldn't care for them. And and they pretty much took all of that away. And I really hate that, because now I feel like that's why you have a lot of mental, people with mental illness and things that are on the streets, or they're not being taken care of properly. Because if I know I don't have the capacity to take care of them at home, and I put them somewhere where they can get that care, and they're getting it 24 hours, why would we shut these things, why would we shut these things down? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of that, that's going on. But I love what you're doing, and that is so unique, because I know several individuals that I have sold policies for, that they have children that are, autistic, and I mean, they're from young up to seniors, that the parent could be 80, and then you see how old the child is, they're still their child. But even if they're in their 50s or their 60s themselves, that they're going to take care of them until their last day.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I think, like I said, having the conversations that you're having is great. It's very unique. It's needed. It's needed more. And we just don't have them enough. And I like that you're giving them alternative options. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I
I
do.
think I think one more thing to be said about the annuity and everything is that annuities can also prevent people from making rash decisions, because with an IRA and everything, you get taxed. With an IRA or 401k, you get taxed if you pull the money out, but a lot of people don't really consider that money to be consider that tax to be very significant. With an annuity, however, you are going to be taxed extremely significantly if you take it out before the maturity period.
Yeah.
And if you invested in an annuity with pre-tax dollars, like if you rolled over a 401k or something like that, you are going to incur the penalty of taking out money early, and you're going to be taxed by the government. So you could probably be
Mm,
losing about 20%, depending on when you took it out. You could be losing about a fifth of the annuity's value, and that tends to stop a lot of people from making really rash financial decisions, because I know
yeah.
that there are times when people have to liquidate their 401ks or something like that because of an emergency or anything or something. But occasionally you will find people that do it for less than emergency purposes. And I find that an annuity can often help prevent people from making those kinds of decisions, because you are pretty much told up front with an annuity you are going to have a fee or a penalty, as we like to call it, if you take this money out early.
Hmm.
And that's just part of the vehicle and everything. Annuities are meant to be investment vehicles that you leave alone. They're not meant to be super liquid.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. We're going to get ready to wrap up our first session. Before we leave, Emily, I need to put your information down below, so how our viewers can contact you. Do you want to put a email, the best contact number? So,
I have several avenues that people can contact me. My email is Taylor underscore
oh,
Emily at nl nlgroupmail.com.
okay.
My Instagram is thatgirl.doingstuff. That's my professional business Instagram. And my Facebook is Insurance Girl with two L's. Or you could also just look up Emily Taylor Evolution Financial Group, which that's the subsidiary that I work for that works under National Life.
Okay. And you said Insurance Girl on Facebook,
Yes, with two
two
L's.
with two L's. Okay.
And you can also just find me on LinkedIn by looking up my name and everything.
Okay. Let's see. And you're on LinkedIn. We wanna put, and it's just under Emily Taylor.
Mm-hmm. And I forgot to give out my number. My work number is 225
Uh
three three
huh.
five four
Oh,
three two seven
okay. 225. What is it, Emily?
335
Mm-hmm.
4327. You can just text me, call me. I'm pretty much available 24/7 although on the weekends I may be a little bit slow in getting back to you because I have a bunch of family stuff that I'll be doing.
Right. Because we are moms.
Well, I'm the child of a mom and I have to do a lot of stuff around the house.
Yes. Appointment on weekends. Okay. I got it down there. So please, yes, please reach out to Emily, just even with your questions, concerns. Thank you for those that tuned in. We really appreciate it. And hopefully you get to see this playback, if you missed it. But again, the information is great. Just go ahead and call her, set up a session. If nothing else, I always tell you guys, even if you're not ready to opt in, that's not the problem. I want you to have the information. It's nothing like knowing. Like you don't wait until you feel like I'm going to be ready. We're never ready. So,
Yeah.
but you might be, and you just don't know it. So, thank you again. Thank you for joining in on our Saturday Small Business Saturday. I'm your host Latoya Amos with our special guest Miss Emily Taylor, and I will see you again on another Saturday. You guys have a great weekend.
You
Bye.
guys have a great weekend too.